Hey everybody, welcome to the show. I'm your host Sandman. Today I'm going to be admitting I was wrong. Let's get into it. I'm wrong all the time. If you guys watch me, if you've been watching me for the last 2 years, I admit that I'm wrong all the time. In every video, I don't know everything and I ask for help from the comment section. You know, I'm always reaching out to other people. That's why I'm on Discord. That's why I'm on Reddit, because I learn just as much from other people as I hope that they are learning from me. I'm always learning something new. However, I was extremely defensive about something that's currently happening that I didn't think there was much precedence of or any at all, but it seems to be a more common thing. Let's just go ahead and talk about that. Someone posted on Reddit recently that they have a broken lock. Says, was trying to pick this lock, applied very little tension, nothing would bind. I slowly applied more, nothing bound. I did this for 5 to 10 minutes, barely increasing the pressure, and eventually the lock just cracked. I don't know what the deal was because I've opened a progressive lock numerous times and a Master 3. So he's talking about the progressive, like auto insurance, I'm thinking, or progressive something. I don't think he actually means progressively pinned locks, but he says in a Master number 3 countless times, so I know how little tension it takes to bind. However, this lock would not bind when it broke. It just broke on me. Any thoughts? I've only been doing this for about 3 days. I'm kind of lost. And so I looked at this picture and I was like, okay, it's a US General lock. I've picked many of these and I gave them away. And he's using what appeared to be a Covert Instruments 30 or 40 thou tension wrench. And I was like, there's no way this guy actually broke the lock. Nobody's ever broken a lock with a tension wrench. I reached out to Lady Locks. I reached out to other people. I was like, have you ever seen or heard or actually broken a lock with a tension wrench? And all these people said no. And so I was immediately defensive. And I stated that I was like, these actually require a ton of tension because there's so much spring tension on the actuator. Like, these probably require the most amount of tension just to create a binding pin than any lock in my collection. And that's saying something. I doubt you broke the lock. In fact, in 20 years, I've never heard of anybody breaking a lock due to rotational tension from a tension wrench. This would be a first. I'm going to be inclined to believe that it is not broken. So, in my defense, I'm using some pretty eloquent phrasing here. Some good legal words. I said, I doubt, I'm inclined to believe otherwise, and then I give some facts and things like that. However, some people started replying and saying like, oh, it happens. I'm like, well, hold on. It doesn't happens, as in plural, as in often, because I've never seen it before. I understand just because Sandman hasn't seen it doesn't mean it hasn't happened. But that's what I was trying to get to the bottom of in the comments. I was trying to explain to people, hold on, I've got almost 20 years of experience. I've been to like 30 different locksport meetups. I have 500 locks in my collection. I've literally picked thousands of locks. I've literally taught thousands of people. I have been on key picking, lockpicking 101, UK locksport, online forums before there was ever a Reddit locksport, lockpicking, subreddit. And I've been in charge of Facebook groups. I started locksport Facebook groups that are famous today. I've never heard or seen this, but it is a thing. Thank God somebody shared me and said, hey, Sandman, calm down. Just simmer down really quick. And this guy, Sufficient Prompt, thank you, sir, said he posted an old one from 3 months ago. It says, crack the plug in the plug housing, trying to pick it. So I took it apart to get a closer look. And apparently some of these cores are becoming skeletonized. I guess that's what they're doing, a plug. There's also a trouble in terminology, but I wouldn't call this necessarily skeletonized. These holes for the pin stacks are sometimes intentionally drilled all the way through for maintenance purposes. When applying lubricant, you can apply it to the bottom and then it'll all just go into the pin stack. Alternatively, it allows a place for any of the water and debris to flush out. It's just a way of drilling into, your boring into the pin stacks from either the bottom or the top of the cylinder and not having to worry about depth and things like that. So there's multiple purposes for this, but this is a failure point. But this is the bottom of the keyway for this particular instance where it's cracked. Not bottom of the keyway. Yeah, this looks like the bottom of the cylinder, but the first picture shows that it was cracked up top. We're going to have to just try to get to the bottom of this. So yeah. Oh, look, the plug is actually split at the top and the cylinder housing is split at the bottom. Crazy. I never would have believed it if I hadn't seen it for myself. So once somebody showed me that as precedence, I was like, okay, so it does happen, but I don't know if it necessarily happens. I can't, listen, I've spent so much time online, I've never seen this happening before. So I was still in disbelief. And then the original poster showed us a picture of what appears to be a brass plug completely split right up here at the top. So I was like, okay, now here's the plural. It happens. And then someone else in the same day, this was a Sunday, I believe, in the same day, posted, was getting some practice in. I somehow cracked the cylinder. Does anyone know where I can get a new one online? Google keeps bringing me to the toolbox locks. This came out of a beefy US General lock. So the US General lock is the same one that the same poster that same day posted. So 2 US General locks cracked on the same day from Reddit users. And then we have just this one, whatever lock this was. It was just some standard laminated padlock. So that's what's happening in Locksport. Our locks are falling apart. I'm falling apart. I don't know what to do. I don't know what is life anymore or what is reality anymore. But I was humbled. I was educated. I had to apologize profusely to several people because it got like heated. I'm like, I'm inclined to believe. And I'm like, I'm not saying that it didn't break. I'm just saying I don't think this thing broke from applying a 40 thousandths, double-ended turning tool. Like, that doesn't even make sense. The shearing forces required to break a plug that's under a cylindrical force of the cylinder housing, like, that's crazy. That doesn't even make sense. Not saying it didn't happen, but I'm inclined to believe that it's a manufacturing defect. And I was wrong and I was right. It's most likely just either cheap manufacturing quality control or manufacturing processes, or it is a defect. But the fact that 2 locks showed up in one day just goes to show that that it's not like a one-off. This is a common thing. So I went out and I purchased this lock in question. Now, for this to be a scientific method, I would need to buy 3 of these. I didn't want to spend $30 on these cheap padlocks and then have them all break on me. Believe it or not, Sandman is not the richest man in the world. He's just always broke because he's not rich. He's irresponsible, and he talks in the third person now. No, but what's going on is I went out to Harbor Freight that morning. Within that hour, I purchased the U.S. General padlock for $7.99, and I got it on my desk right behind me. So let's jump over to my desk and let's see if we can recreate it. Even if we can't recreate it, we know that it happens. We have enough sufficient evidence and proof that Chinese locks are just fragile as glass now, and we do have to consider that in our recommendations for locks. And we for recommending for lock picking, but also if these are cracking under pressure just from inserting a turning tool, I've heard in the comments that people are saying they've even cracked from using a key. Now, probably less likely with a key because a key is going to fill up the entire keyway, whereas a turning tool is applying this weird fulcrum, at the top of the keyway that a key does not do. But let's go ahead and hop over to this desk and let's see if we can recreate this. And if we can't, it's no big deal. It still happens, and I'm going to shy people away from cheap Chinese padlocks moving forward and purchase either American or locks manufactured in Mexico if we start seeing more of this. At the very least, shy away from Harbor Freight locks. But let's go ahead and see if we can duplicate this, and let's go ahead and give it a try. All right, folks, this is the lock in question. This is the U.S. General Padlock item 03220. Let's see, it's a 2.5-inch short shackle padlock. This brass components of this product contain lead, I just don't know how to read. Contain lead, a chemical known, blah, 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 California Health. Distributed by Harbor Freight Tools, Kemerlo, California, made in China. Not a big deal. I don't care that things are always made in China. Like, America doesn't always put out the best stuff. Super strong, solid steel shackle, case hardened body. Removable and rekeyable cylinder. Comes with 3 brass keys. That's pretty much all there is to it. We have the keys right here. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bidding. And here is my receipt there. Purchased for, it was, retailed at $7.99, purchased with tax, and that's that from Harbor Freight. So let's give this a try. So here's the deal. I am a sponsored lock picker, and it is in my best interest to not use other companies' tools. However, to recreate this, I'm going to use the exact same tools that were used, and we'll just go ahead and give that a try. We're going to use the exact same tools that were used, and they are brand spanking new. So this is neither a positive or a negative for this brand that I'm going to be using here. I'm just trying to recreate this. Honestly, this isn't a positive or a negative. This is all about the lock, not the tools. And I do not honestly want to destroy my Multipick tools because they come all the way from Germany, and I don't want to have to destroy a tool if this fails. But I don't think this is going to fail. I think we're going to destroy the lock. But I'm going to use brand new tools here just so that we keep things completely, I don't know, evidential based. Did I just make up a word? Did I cut myself? Am I bleeding profusely? Hopefully my sponsors won't care that I'm using different tools here. I'm just trying to recreate this exercise. But anyways, and hopefully the people that manufacture these tools will at least appreciate the strength of their tools. So let's go ahead and get into this guy. I do have a table vise here, a bench vise. I do have an actual like pipe vise. What are they called? I don't know. Plumber's vise. So if I can't do it in hand, then I'll do it in there. But I guarantee my hand strength would bend the tool long before I need to put it into an actual vise. All of these locks appear to have been broken while picking in hand. So I don't think it'll be too big of an issue. Now, they used double-ended turning tools, so we're going to start with that. And I believe they used 50 thou in the comments. So let's try 50 thou. Could be wrong. Could have been a 40 thou. I don't remember, but we'll just go with whatever's thickest in here. Yeah, so 50 thou fits in there just fine. However, I want to go ahead and just start cranking on this thing, but maybe I should attempt to pick it first. So why don't we try that? Let me go with a, yeah, see the 40 thou wants to fall out. We're going to go with that 50 thou here. And look how much rotation is in this core. That's that spring that's on the actuator, the actuator spring. So I have to go past that spring, start applying some tension before I'm going to get anything to bind. And I'm probably going to have to add lubricant if I want to just pick this thing out of the box on camera. But let's go ahead and see if we can just pick this out of the box. I didn't mean to turn this into me wanting to pick this, but we are recreating, I guess, in a sense, what has happened. So let's go with pin number 3, pin number 5, pin number 4, pin number 2, pin number 1. Oh, the tension wrench fell out as I was rotating the core. Let's try that again. Gotta add that rotation. Look at that, how much movement that is. I mean, it's not uncommon, I guess. I've seen it on other locks, not on high security locks or good locks. The lock is super dry. 1, 2. Pin number 2. Pin number 4. Pin number 5. 3. Number 1. This lock is super dry. I don't want to add lubricant because I'm trying to recreate this. I doubt the guys that broke their locks added any lubricant. You know what I'm saying? And if I can't pick this in a few minutes, then we're just going to go ahead and try to recreate adding a ton of tension. I really don't want to add lubricant because I know that they did not. And I know that pin number 3 was the first binding pin the first time. There's pin number 5. Pin number 1. Pin number 3. Pin number 1 again. Pin number 4. On pin 2. There we go. We got an open. Thank you. I was starting to doubt my skills there for a second. All right, so we got an open, and that thing rotates really far. The core did not break in that process. Honestly, I see this weird little line right here, and I wonder if that's the start of a break. Do you see this? You guys can't see that, but in a particular light, there's a little line right here. Right here. But I don't know what I'm looking at. So let's earn our keys. Let's use the keys. Okay. It's a strong actuator spring for certain. Okay. Let's try picking this again. Let's see if we can get that break on camera. Yeah, you know what? If I were to add lubricant, then that means the binding pins would move more freely, and that means I wouldn't have to add as much rotational force. Therefore, I would not be recreating that situation. So let's keep doing this. Pin 1 is binding now. Okay, got pin 1 set. Pin 2. Pin 2 is set. Pin 3. Pin 3 is set. Pin 4. Completely different binding order every time. Okay, pin 4 is set. Pin 5. It felt like I set pin 5. I think I just overset pin 5. When it goes ka-chunk and not click. Pin 1. I mean, these require a lot of tension. I really do think that this general lock at a white belt and the ASA Twin 6K require the absolute, which is a black belt lock. It's a twin inline. I think those require the absolute most tension of all the locks I have in my. The tension wrench wants to fall out. That's why we use pry bar style tension wrenches, because it's less likely to fall out, especially at this angle. But I'm really trying to recreate this, so I can't recreate it just picking. So let's see if we can, sorry, I didn't realize I wouldn't even in view of the camera. Let's see if we can just crank on this thing and get that quarter break. I can't get to stay in. All right, here we go. We got it broken. We got it. We got it. We broke it. We broke it. Success. That's crazy. That was not, it was a lot of tension, but it's not like unheard of. There it is. It's broken. I couldn't recreate it just from picking, which goes to show I don't apply as much tension as maybe a new person does. I apply the amount of tension required to let the pins bind and set. I don't apply any more than that. Case in point, I've never broken a lockpick before in my life except for a multi-pick dimple flag, because I was using it. And no, I didn't even break a multi-pick dimple flag. I was using a data rotary tool dimple flag and a multi-pick handle. So, and that was like an experiment. So I've never broken a manufactured lockpick in my life. A lot of people are like, how is that possible? Well, I guess I just not trying hard enough, but I've bent quite a few. But we just broke our first plug here in my 20 years. This is crazy. I'm so happy I was able to recreate that. This is a thing. Don't buy general padlocks. Look at that. That's it. I did it. Let's gut this baby and take a look at what's going on. I'm so glad I was able to do that. I'm glad I learned from this experience. It became a very heated discussion. My fault. My bad. I apologized profusely, but I was like, no, like this is not a thing. And guess what? It was a thing. Of course, this is still going to work because this fills up the entirety of that keyway. It's not key retaining. So we should be able to drop this guy out with just a little Phillips there. Coming from China, I wonder if it's one of those Japanese crossheads, but there would be a marking to indicate such, so it doesn't appear to be. Here we go. Okay. So this is the cylinder housing. Some people call this the core. This is the plug, and some people call it the cylinder. Some people will call this the plug and this the cylinder. Some people call this the core and this the cylinder. Some people call this the core. It's all semantics. At the end of the day, it's a lock. But I would argue that this is a plug or cylinder. This is a cylinder housing. This is not a cylinder because of the Bible of the housing. So our cylinder and our plug is cracked. This is our cylinder housing or a core. And then this is the lock body. That's craziness. Look at that. Let's take this thing out. There's no C-clip or circlip on the back of this. There is a pin here, which means I have to depress that pin. Kind of like on a large format interchangeable core. They have the same thing. How do I do that? Shoot, I should have watched a video on that. Yeah, I should have. All right, so I have to shim that maybe. Interesting. Well, let's try to figure out how to take this apart, and maybe I might have to fast forward this video in order to do that. Crazy. Let's look at this one more time. Yeah, that thing's snapped. It's snapped, buddy. I'm sorry, I didn't realize I can zoom in this close and it'd still be in focus. That thing's broke. All right, let's take this thing apart. Yeah, I figured that out fairly quick. I've already dumped my pins. I didn't gut it correctly. That's fine. We're just looking at the core. There's a huge cutout on the side of this plug I never anticipated, so we're just going to dump everything out. We just want to look at the core. We don't care about this lock. Hopefully I didn't brick it. The springs are caught up in there. There we go. So this is highly skeletonized, and that's probably the failure point. But let's talk about that. So it is skeletonized here and here, but that doesn't have anything to do with the failure point here where it broke. People were saying, oh, it's highly skeletonized and, reasons. It's bent here because probably of how I, was taking it apart. This is the retention element. So this is where it's broke. Basically, it's just too close to the first pin stack. The amount of material between the face of the plug to the first pin stack is not enough to withstand a shearing force, because that's what we are applying. Yes, we are creating a fulcrum on the bottom backside here. And my effort is my tensioning finger. The load is going to be right here at the top of this keyway, right here on the left side. So the fulcrum is here on this left side. Let me point to this So this is where my fulcrum is here. But the shearing, I don't know if you could say it's shearing because it's separating. It's not actually shearing. But the split is over here. The fulcrum's over here. And the split is here. I think it's not a shearing. It's, oh, it is leverage. It is leverage. Okay, it is leveraging. I'm sorry, guys. I went to 11 different schools growing up, so my physics is not on point. But the fulcrum is providing leverage and creating this as my load. And my effort is my finger. So I was wrong. Let's use a smaller turning tool to show. So as I create a fulcrum off the back left side, I'm creating the effort right here, and it's not able to withstand the effort, which is my tensioning finger, and it's just too little bit of it's too close to the front of the plug. Do I have other tools like locks here in front of me? Of course I don't. I'm so unprepared for all these videos. Why are you guys even subscribed? I don't know. That's what it is. That's what's happening. Crazy. That's so cool. I was able to go out and buy this and recreate this. So anyways, I had to like send private messages to people, be like, hey man, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that this was a thing until somebody showed me pictures, and apparently it is a thing. I don't know everything. I'm not infallible. I make mistakes all the time. But in my, I was like, in my defense, I just never seen it before. So folks, that's all I have for today. I don't know what else I can do to show you this. Let me know in the comments down below. I can't wait to read all the hundreds and thousands of people like, oh yeah, it happens to me all the time. Come on, stop it. But it does happen, and it's happening more and more. In fact, these locks from Harbor Freight are the culprit. So definitely stay away from US General locks if you are into lock picking, lock sport. I can't necessarily say that means that this could happen under the tension of a key. You would probably have to turn it pretty hard. I would love to maybe even purchase another one of these and put the key in there and rotate it as far and as hard as I can. Maybe simulating like this lock is gummed up, just to see if I can break the plug with the key. Wouldn't that be something? But we'll see. I don't know if I'll probably do that. Maybe we'll do that next week. It'll be a part 2. Who knows? I don't know if I'm going to spend $8 on this. Wouldn't you rather buy chimichangas and tacos and churros? Just asking, what is your favorite Mexican food? Let me know in the comments down below. That's what this was all about. The joke's on you, folks. You thought you came here for a huge apology from Sandman, and really what you came here for was fast food Mexican dishes. Tex-Mex specifically. Austin, Texas. All right, folks, let me know in the comments down below if you ever seen this happen before. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Take a look at these pins. No security pins. Didn't expect there to be. That's it. That's all I have. Catch you guys next time.